Yep, that's what I am. It's a hard job protecting these streets. Gotta write parking tickets, lots and lots of parking tickets. The people hate me for it, I never get no thanks, but it's gotta be done. Got a ticket quota today, 4 trillion tickets by the mid-afternoon. Adjust my sunglasses, smooth out my pastel-colored suit, and get to work. Looks like this guy's meter is about to expire. Better write him a ticket for not staying on top of it. Looks like this guy's meter expires in 2 hours. Better write him a ticket for using the meter in the first place. This person's driving a car. Cars can be dangerous. That's a ticket. And a shift rolls around. The chief gets on my case because I only wrote 2 trillion tickets. What does he think I am? Some kind of super cop? That's what you get on this job. No thanks whatsoever. It's tough, writing tickets, stopping crooks, taking bribes, and all just so bleeding heart reporters can get on your case whenever your baton falls a little loose from your belt. It is what it is, though. That's just life when you're a... I kind of struggle with how exactly I should describe Beat Cop. It's a unique game, at least amongst all the ones I've played over the years. It kind of feels like a point-and-click game, but I wouldn't call it that. Time management, maybe, but that feels a little too simplistic. Simulator, it's got too much of a set narrative for that. I guess in a way it's a combination of all three. It's one of those games that exists in a kind of gray area where the lines that typically divide games into different genres blur together and form a pixelated chimera. Now that I've used a cool word that makes me sound smart, I should quit dicking around and describe the game. If repetition is your thing, then this is your game, as that's what it trades in. As the name would imply, you take on the role of a beat cop, a patrol officer in New York City in the late 80s assigned the task of walking from one end of the sidewalk to the other, over and over from 8 in the morning to 5 in the evening. As an officer of the law, you're responsible for the safety of the people who live and work on this street, so it's up to you to keep your eyes peeled and your ear to the ground in search of anyone who might be breaking the law. If you have bad eyesight or poor hearing, though, that's okay, because throughout the day, Central will pester the shit out of you with reports of wrongdoings that require your attention. Alongside whatever pandemonium erupts over the course of the day, you've also got various tasks given to you by your asshole boss at the start of each morning. In the conference room, over the sounds of typewriters, phone calls, and workplace harassment, you're the recipient of a profanity-layered series of orders that range from accompany this fat fuck throughout the day to keep an eye out for terrorist threats. While the framing structure of the game may be repetitive, it's these daily goals as well as your interactions with the locals that keep it from feeling boring. Even though the game takes place on a single street, it's a street in New York City, meaning that on your patrols you'll meet more people in a day than I have in my lifetime. Drug dealers, prostitutes, mobsters, shop owners, random nobodies, reporters, plainclothes, and every single one of them has some kind of problem that they need your help with. This leads me to what is ultimately your problem: daily tasks, ambient events, and side quests. All things that you have precisely 9 hours to do. So which ones? The core dilemma at the heart of Beat Cop is that you can't get around to doing everything that everyone asks of you. You're gonna have to throw some tasks to the side, ignore some requests, and ultimately piss a few people off. It's up to you to decide who you're going to cozy up to and who you're going to tell to fuck off. Here's the rub though. At no point in the game do you ever leave this street. You will be going up and down this sidewalk for the entire game. The people who are also regulars here are going to be trekking the same sidewalk right next to you for the whole way, so there's no avoiding someone who doesn't like you. This beat is your job, meaning that you have to interact with everyone on it, regardless of what you think of them or they think of you. This turns the game into a balancing act, essentially, trying to maintain favor with the different groups of people who walk this same street, all of whom have competing agendas. Writing a ticket makes the precinct happy but pisses off the people. Letting a ticket go pleases the people but frustrates the precinct. Members of a street gang will often ask for your help in dealing with the mafia and vice versa. Thwarting extortion attempts will gain the favor of your average citizen but really upset the mob. On top of all this, it's pretty easy to fuck up in this game. For the most part, mistakes aren't treated by the game as grounds for a fail state, but instead development in your own personal narrative. By the end of the game, you could be the best cop, the shittiest cop, or somewhere in between. That's all dependent on how good you are at managing your tasks and how much money you're willing to dump into hot dogs for stamina boosts. Also, how much are you willing to bend the law when you need to? NYPD has always been known for having some issues with corruption, and this was especially true in the 70s and 80s. You can take bribes, buy drugs, oversee illegal deals, run errands for the mob, and just overall be more of a gangster than a cop. So within this very rigid structure that the game takes place in, there's actually a lot of different ways you can play, which leads to the point of this video. How did I play? The answer is disastrously. The story of Beat Cop is that you play as a guy named Jack Kelly. No, not Chip Kelly, Jack Kelly. He was a detective, but after shooting a burglar and being implicated in stealing diamonds from the house that was robbed, he gets demoted to beat cop while an investigation is conducted. So, along with all the aforementioned tasks that the game wants you to do, there's also a main story that can be advanced at your discretion. I tried my best to accomplish what I could, but the call of parking tickets was too great, and I also spent way too much time running errands for the guy who owns the porn shop. As a result, I have no idea what happened to the diamonds that went missing from the dude's house, and the implication that there was a greater conspiracy at work was a lead that remained unpursued in my playthrough. Nope, I'm a man of the people, so I was too concerned with helping out the people on my beat. I gotta say, this is probably the most batshit crazy street in New York. We got the mob headquarters and the local gang's hideout, an ex-Nazi, a dude with ties to the Solidarity movement in Poland, a Nazi hunter, an ex-porn star, God knows how many people named after movie characters. Good lord, how is this place not burned down already? Oh fuck, there it goes. So I'm running back and forth constantly, all while juggling all the bullshit the chief wants me to do. One of the highlights for me was when I had to babysit a fat Soviet cop who ended up taking a liking with me and gave me a heartfelt goodbye. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. The writing in this game can get pretty funny, but I did read some articles on the internet from when this game came out where several people expressed distaste with some of the game's more politically incorrect humor. To an extent, I can understand this, but I am kind of disappointed that most of the people writing these articles are missing a big piece of information about this game. You see, pretty much all of these articles were written by Americans, and in the US, we have a tendency to think we are the undisputed center of the planet, and everyone should just know everything about our culture and all of the context surrounding different tropes in our media. The developers of Beat Cop are Polish, and they were very open about how the game is inspired by their perception of America in the 80s as people who grew up in an Eastern Bloc country, where their only exposure to US culture was imported TV shows ripped of all the life experience that contextualizes the things depicted in them. So while the game is very, I guess you could say, insensitive in several aspects, it's done in service of paying homage to a specific type of media by people who may not be familiar with the gravity of certain words or phrases from an American perspective. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I understand the criticism, but it seems like it's a bit too stuck in an American perspective. I wrote all that out, and then while I was going through the footage, I noticed that in the background this black kid was tearing into a watermelon, so let me just delete every goddamn thing I just wrote. Alright, well now that the racial views of the people who made this game are considerably more ambiguous, I'm just gonna sum up the results of my playthrough. I didn't complete the main quest because I spent too much time dicking around with side stuff, so I stayed a beat cop until I got shot while giving a dude a parking ticket. Nice. Beat cop, ladies and gentlemen, it's a tough job and you get shot at the end of the day. It may seem unfair, actually I envy that guy, he's the real hero, but someone's gotta do it. Overall, it was a fun little indie game that I enjoyed decompressing with after 3 straight weeks of playing AAA big budget shooters, only one of which was actually worth a shit in terms of story. I'll probably replay it at some point to try and get the other endings, but for now, the streets are calling me. There's more games out there I gotta play and more parking tickets I gotta write. Hey everybody, if you made it this far into the video, I just want to say thanks. It means a whole lot. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all your standard YouTube outro stuff that you hear all the time. And other than that, I'll see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.